Roy Moore, the Senate candidate in Alabama, is facing yet another allegation from a woman who claims that she had been sexually assaulted by him decades ago. Now, she said that when she was assaulted by him, she was only 16 years old and working as a waitress in Alabama at a place known as the Old Hickory House, where Roy Moore was a regular customer. Now, she identified herself in a press conference along with her lawyer, Gloria Allred. Her name is Beverly Young Nelson. And the new accuser told a news conference in New York that Mr. Moore attacked her when she was 16 and he was a prosecutor in Etowah County, Alabama. Apparently, he stayed until after closing hours and she was waiting for her boyfriend to pick her up. She says that her boyfriend was late, and at that point, Roy Moore offered her a ride home. But instead of taking her home, she claimed that he drove to the back of the restaurant and then assaulted her. She said, "I tried fighting him off while yelling at him to stop, but instead of stopping, he began squeezing my neck, attempting to force my head onto his crotch." She said Mr. Moore then warned her that no one will believe you if she told anyone about the encounter in his car. And he essentially told her, "Look, I'm the district attorney. You're just a teenager. No one's going to believe your story."
And I just want to give the exact quote according to her, because it's, ooh. He said, "You're just a child. I'm the district attorney. If you tell anyone about this, no one will ever believe you." If she's just a child, you might not have wanted to sexually assault her in the back of a parking lot. This is, by the way, a Trump voter. Her husband's a Trump voter. She says this has nothing to do with politics. She's a Republican from Alabama. It's like, but he did this. He did it. He had, quote unquote, flirted with her throughout. When she was 15 years old, working in that restaurant, he would pull on her hair. Yeah. And he would constantly say, make comments about her appearance and how pretty she was. He was in his 30s, she was 15. She said she was not interested because he was literally more than twice her age.
Yeah, what's interesting is his response to these allegations. Now, he says that he is going to go after the Washington Post because that was the publication that broke the story of all these allegations against him last week. But at the same time, he doesn't really deny these allegations. He just says, yeah, I knew these women and I tried to kiss them, but I didn't do anything wrong.
So let me be clear. So there was the original 4 allegations in the Washington Post story. Today, Beverly Young Nelson is the 5th.
Right.
Of the first 4, he says, yeah, the 16 and 18-year-olds, when I was in my 30s, I dated them because I liked beautiful young girls, including the 16-year-old. And he made out with her, okay? And he says, but that's all. He says the only one he doesn't know is the 14-year-old who says she stripped him down to her underwear, he got naked and tried to get her to touch his crotch and he groped her. He says, that's the one, I just don't have recollection of her. She has a recollection of you. And now even other Republicans say that they believe the woman and not Roy Moore.
Right, so one of those Republicans is actually Mitch McConnell. And during a press conference, he addressed this whole controversy, and here's what he had to say.
Before you go, Roy Moore is the latest there. Are you calling for him to step down from that Senate race?
I did. I think he should step aside. Yeah.
We're just about out of time. Is the burden on Moore to prove these false versus someone to prove that these are true in this situation? Or do you believe these allegations to be true?
I believe the women, yes.
Wow.
That was a pretty strong statement. And there were other statements from other senators that I'll get to in just a minute. But Roy Moore is not buying it. He has responded to Mitch McConnell in the form of a tweet, because that's what people do these days. And he said the person who should step aside is Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. He has failed conservatives and must be replaced. # drain the swamp.
I think that's what got him in trouble, right? I said wow because in this day and age, it is surprising, borderline shocking, to have a Republican leader say that he would not support another Republican. Now, in this case, the Republican appears to be a child molester, but even so, it's still shocking because the Republicans have stood by They're guys in almost every instance, no matter what. Desjardins in Tennessee, 3 abortions, including with his mistress.
Yeah.
They're like, he's our guy, that's family values. Abortions are no problem when Republicans do it. Mistresses are no problem when Republicans do it. Donald Trump bragging about sexual assault on tape, clear as day.
Right.
They stood by him. So why are they flipping on Roy Moore? Now look, if they flip on him and they try to write-in candidate or something, that is going to be very difficult to pull off. And it looks like the Democrats have an excellent chance of winning this seat now. So why? It's not because all of a sudden the Republicans woke up one day and were like, oh yeah, moral, we forgot to be moral. Like family values, right, child molestation bad, right? No, the reason is Virginia. Because of the elections that just happened in Virginia, and they realized Gillespie ran on the Trump thing of, anti-immigrant and the Latinos are coming and the Muslims are coming, et cetera, and it didn't work. And he lost to a really mediocre Democratic candidate, which they had a lot of hope that he would beat. And then they got killed in the lower level elections. And so their conclusion was, maybe Trump can pull off being Trump, but the rest of us can't.
Yeah, so that's actually a really great point. And one thing that you have to keep in mind is that the primary races are very different from running in the general election, right? In these state seats, and in this case, you had Roy Moore go against Luther Strange, who was a more moderate candidate, and Roy Moore won because he did play this like extremist, like Trump card, but that's not necessarily going to resonate with all the people of Alabama. So,
and even so, look, he might, if these allegations didn't come out, he probably would have won anyway. He's even before we had suspected him of being a child molester, he had already said Muslims should not be allowed in Congress. That means you don't believe in the U.S. Constitution, right. And he, let alone his views on gay Americans, et cetera, et cetera. So the Republicans already knew that, and were like, yeah, that's great. Discriminating against Muslims, that's awesome. Discriminating against gays, we love it, no problem at all. And almost certainly would have won in Alabama, but. Remember, all these senators on the Republican side aren't all from Alabama. So one of the first guys to turn was the Republican senator from Colorado. He's not going to win in Colorado if he's running on a pro-child molester ticket. But no, it's okay. I'm a Christian conservative that will imprison the women if they have abortions. That's not going to play well in Colorado. So he was like, pull the chute. I saw what happened in Virginia. It turns out Trump thing was an anomaly. I got to get out of here. Now they're looking to save their own ass. Also,
I just wanted to give some credit to a gentleman on Twitter. I'm sorry your name escapes me at the moment, but I thanked you on Twitter. He made an excellent point about how the GOP launched this war against transgender rights because they were so concerned about trans individuals sexually assaulting women in bathrooms. I mean, projection 101. It's amazing.
It turns out that you didn't have to worry about transgender people. You just had to worry about Republican Senate candidates. So Roy Moore caught doing all this terrible things to young women. I mean, the 16-year-old in the car, he's trying to force her head down. She's screaming. Remember, he got kicked out of the Alabama Supreme Court because he got kicked out twice. But the first time was because of the 10 Commandments.
Right.
He said, even though America is supposed to live by a constitution, I don't care. I want it to live by the 10 Commandments. Where in the 10 Commandments does it talk about molesting young girls and how that's okay? And attacking them and trying to force yourself onto them, okay? I don't remember that in the 10 Commandments. Then the second time he got kicked out of the Alabama Supreme Court is because he said that it was an abomination to give gay people the same rights as straight people, because gay people are immoral. Gay people are immoral. But Roy Moore, who knows that he's been in his words, dating 16-year-olds when he was in his 30s, is a very moral man, and says the 14-year-old and the other 16-year-old that said that he assaulted them, no, that part's not necessarily true. The 16-year-old, he didn't even quite deny yet, the last one with the one in the car, okay?
Yeah.
So the next time when you see a guy talking about family values, unfortunately, 9 out of 10 times, it means he's a super bad guy. And we've seen this 1,000 times over and over and over again. It's usually the guys with the darkest secrets who keep moralizing to others and judging others and saying that other people are not as morally righteous as they are. And there's a reason why they do that, because they're trying to make sure that nobody finds out what they've been up to. So they just project out. They take their weakness and try to turn it into a strength. Oh, other people are bad with their morals and they do illicit sexual things. Oh, I judge you. No, when you see a guy like Roy Moore next time, God knows what he's done in a car somewhere or in a bathroom, and the sick and depraved things that Republicans like that have been up to while you weren't looking. If you like the Young Turks, you'll love Young Turks membership. TYTnetwork.com/join.